The advocacy of preserving the environment always has focused on the individual advocated campaign, like avoiding the use of plastic or bringing your own bags instead of the supermarket's bags. Surrounding these suggestions exposed two questions. First, will the employment of individual actions make a huge impact? Second, is plastic avoidable? The first question Michael Miniat answered by saying that from individual level, there would be no way to ease the problem's severity. While the second question's response was also apparent, plastic still constitutes a considerable part of our daily life. A typical example of plastic existence in our daily life is plastic water bottle. However, we need to be realized that only 23% of plastic bottles are recycled within the US. What about the rest of the plastic bottle? The Great Pacific Garbage Patch was one of the recent artworks by humans, illustrate one idea that Curzon raised for why calling our era Anthropocene. Mankind will remain a major environmental force for many millennia. Further data demonstrated the idea. According to EPA's data, in 2017, over 75% of the plastic waste was managed through landfilling. Then people ask why humans didn't replace plastic. People may first answer by saying what I have said. We did a campaign against plastic, but it's an individual campaign. It can't be collectively significant. Then we need a change, an institutional change. Then the question referred to why didn't we take action and make that individual institutional change? The water packaging industry may offer us a very typical answer. I prepared three objects for the comparison: plastic water bottle, the aluminum can, and the glass water bottle. Okay, so the first item here in my hand is plastic water bottle. Initially invented in 1862 and presented at a great international exhibition in London, the plastic water bottle was not welcome because its high production cost. Until the 1970s, when PET bottles came into the world, the plastic water bottle became a good option. An astonishing figure is revealed by National Geographic claimed that in 2017, 1 million plastic beverage bottles was purchased every minute. Very worthy noticing is its influence across the globe was not only in the mineral water area. A 2019 news report titled Coca-Cola chooses plastic bottle collection over aluminum cans, claiming that PET bottle has a much lower carbon footprint, which means that it has served a better long-term answer than switching to cans. Once very surprising, isn't it? One beverage company announced the reason to push more resources into environmental efforts through more emphasis on a commonly believed product to be detrimental to the environment. What happened to the other two products, glass bottle and aluminum cans? Aluminum cans has a more prosperous history in the past than plastic water bottles. So in 1981, one aluminum cans production company projected $1.5 billion on its sales. Very incredible number. Aluminum cans also are very recyclable and are small and easy to carry with. While when the question refers to the glass bottle, it is I have very personal tie with it. It is actually that a green, delicate, beautiful Perrier glass bottle that illuminates my thinking on composing such a cabinet. The environmental campaign was very popular during my first meeting with Perrier. I also wondered why why glass bottle remain to be pronouns for Perrier but not other mineral water bottle. So let's compare and see. First, let's think about glass bottle versus plastic bottle. Why does it lose the battle? As I'm focusing on the institutional level, I'm not going to stress the individual impact. While we will find glass with several limitations that makes it a bad option. First, people need to be aware that glass production involves sand, which means that it may result in the shore cities being open to the ocean threat through flooding and erosion. Besides, the durability of glass would also not make it a good substitute for the plastic. The heavier weight the glass bottle may bring would also make the emission of carbon dioxide more massive. A change in the institutional level of the water bottle's material will probably be a good option for individuals to comfort themselves that they are doing good to the environment as individuals, even though the overall impact may be worsened to the environment. Second, let's see aluminum cans versus plastic bottle. Why did Coca-Cola favor plastic bottles over aluminum cans? It was worth noticing that aluminum cans have a better recyclability than plastic bottles. However, the problem became more complicated as the research claimed that aluminum cans have a higher ecological footprint involved in the production, twice the amount of carbon emission than that of plastic bottles. The cost of production of aluminum cans was also higher. Nevertheless, this does not consider other involved possible costs and consumers' preference. Years of the adverse reports did create hatred towards plastic bottles, and the beverage industry did consider switching some containers. The other costs and energy involved in the transportation of aluminum cans are also projected to be lower than that of plastic bottles. Perhaps one of the overwhelming advantages of plastic is its durability and flexibility. Though there were no clear advantage or disadvantage between the two materials, Forbes data show that there will be an increase in the PET bottle consumption across the globe. I suspect that the plastic bottle's fundamental cost is still lower than aluminum cans, which made the need the lower price tag of those packed in the plastic bottles. The reason is lying in the past. If aluminum cans are cheaper than the plastic bottles, then why in years there were very few existence of mineral water in aluminum cans? Instead, it was usually beers or other costly soft drinks that picked aluminum cans apart of their containers. Therefore, the obstacle to aluminum cans' future wasn't its fundamental environmental cost, but its fundamental price stipulated by humans. The first battle's loss is about the unnoticing environmental impact behind the stage. The second battle's loss is about the payment and cost behind the scenes despite the possible good environmental impact. What I wanted to draw my whole argument based on these comparisons should not solely focus on the comparisons themselves, but also the things behind the scene. Ecological thought, as Morton noted, was about mesh. Therefore, I have reason to suspect the institutional level action behind why they do so, say embracing new substitutes while not doing so. Do they have any concerns with other things? There may be no good substitute at present. However, I need to suspect one point here. Why, as if there are common knowledge, plastic was still faced with such hostility? If people realize other options' possible detrimental effects, how can there be a possibility of against the plastic bottle? Therefore, I suspect if there are untold reasons behind these huge companies, if they are hiding something. From an economic perspective, aluminum cans may not appear to be a good variable. What does the message behind it imply? Companies for higher profits give up opportunities to protect the environment. The action of protecting the environment, is it, after all, only the wealthy's gain? What is the message behind it? Do these companies who are responsible for the institutional change don't want to take their responsibility? Again and again, we see global companies under the Anthropocene environment, which I personally call a globalized arrow, expand their influence. This is a world driven by capitalism and interest to some extent. Do these companies want to push more people relying on them? These questions make me connect to another thing. Water as life necessity is inevitable for any humans. In the past, it's mostly through wars and original lakes. Nowadays, complicated water supply system and different packaging mineral waters took their seat. The last time we are experiencing a considerable change in our cultural and lifestyle in Anthropocene is colonialism. We are now experiencing a new colonialism by the need of water. Well, on the one hand, we are blaming water packaging as bad for the environment. On the other hand, there are millions of people under today's water scarcity believing in bottled water to be one reliable alternative. A change in the water market from plastic bottles into either glass or aluminum will result in its high price tag and lose the market, which eventually will result in losing control by a place. That finally reminds me of one final thing. One of the main reasons we define this era as anthropocene is that humans can be in charge of everything. Ironically, price is something that human-made ideas. It became the tool for humans to put things in order, including countries' development levels, people living standards, environment stipulation. Because this is Anthropocene, it confronted the idea that humans' action on saving nature somehow could not free themselves from the limitations that humans posed on them. Plastic, in just a few years, became one of the dominant materials across the globe. For the case of aluminum cans, it probably even didn't start its journey yet and was throttled by human stipulation posed on their way of managing the world. For the case of glass bottles, it will finally in history ended due to its high price. Nothing more significant than the price of cost is. We have a long way to go on making our Anthropocene a good one.